It's time for Insurance Unlocked with your host, Heather Arias from Udy & Associates American Family Insurance. Heather will be sharing her proven insurance tips to help you save money.
Well, hello, Heather. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Michael. How are you?
Well, let me check. I'm doing
Got a
good.
pulse?
Yeah.
You're alive.
I'm
It's a
alive.
good day.
It's a good day. I'm mostly vertical, so that's cool.
Good.
So I have some questions today.
Yes.
We've been talking about homeowner endorsements in the last couple of podcasts. I know we want to talk a little bit today about scheduled personal property endorsements. Tell me about that. What are those things?
First, I want to talk about an endorsement. I know in the last episode we touched on that, but an endorsement is something that you add to your policy that's not normally built into it.
Okay.
So we have our home policy. You have specific coverage that are set aside in there. An endorsement for an additional cost is something you can add to add additional coverage or up current coverages.
Okay.
And scheduled personal property is one of those.
So I would like to ask you this question.
Yes.
Is it a common occurrence in your experience where, let's say something happens to someone's home, they have homeowners insurance, and something like maybe there's a hidden water, like we talked about last time, or septic thing, or something goes wrong with their scheduled personal property, there's a loss. And they say to you, well, Heather, I thought that was covered in my homeowner's insurance policy. Does that ever happen to you? Once in a
All
while?
of the time.
Really?
All of the time. So when we sit down with somebody to write a policy or we do a review with an existing client, the endorsements and coverages are something we go through because we want to make sure that you're fully covered in what you want. So we'll offer these and then it's up to the insured whether or not they want to take them. But yes, we were asked that question all the time. I thought that was covered.
So what do you think is the primary reason why people are mistaken thinking they have coverage and they don't? Is it the insurance agent is not giving the full story, or are they not listening, or are they just going?
I think it's a combination of both sometimes. Hopefully the agent is being transparent and talking to them about the policy, but there's so many different factors that go into a policy, whether it's a home policy or an auto policy. Sometimes it's hard to get through all of them. So I think it's just lack of education sometimes too.
So you guys that are watching and listening today, make sure that when you're getting insurance, number one, you need to call Heather because she'll get you
call
straight. and make sure you ask all the right questions. Is this covered under my homeowner's policy, or do I need some type of a special homeowner's endorsement?
Yes, and a lot of times in a policy when you do get one, there's going to be an exclusion page is what we call it, an exclusions page. So it will go over everything that's excluded. So I always recommend out of that whole policy, read that page.
So on the exclusion page, do you have to check each thing that you don't want, like opting out? Or do you just sign the whole thing and say, I don't want any of this stuff?
So the exclusion page would be in the policy after you've already signed up for it. We actually have an endorsement form that when you get a policy with us, we have you sign saying you okayed or did not okay the endorsement.
Oh.
So we go through them all and we'll say, did you want this? And you say no, we'll check that you just said no. And then you sign it at the end and we save it in your file.
Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about scheduled personal property. What is scheduling?
So on a policy, everyone has a personal property limit, but there are some things that are only covered up to a small amount within that. So if you want the full value of it, you need to schedule it onto the policy. So it's an additional coverage for a cost, and you can get the full value of it or the appraised value of the items.
So what type of things can be scheduled or added to the policy?
You can do jewelry, guns, fine arts, tapestries, guitars, bicycles can be added, golfers' equipment can be added, monies, like if you had coins or collectibles, things like that can be added to the policy.
Okay, so it can be added to the policy. So let's say I'm signing up and I want to add these guitars. And I say, I have 13 guitars.
Yep.
And I have a couple of Fenders and a couple of Gibsons and a this and a that. Is that good enough, or do I need to provide proof that I actually own these things, and how's the best way to do that?
So you'd need to provide proof. If you want the full value of it, we'd probably need the appraisal or bill of sale to show what you paid for the item. And then we'd put a complete description on your policy of what the Fender guitar was. There's a serial number. We'd need that to put on there. And then the value, and then it would be insured for that. Let's say there was a fire or theft in your home. And how much is a Fender guitar? What'd you say?
I'm going to say $1,249.13.
Okay. Well, if you want the $1,249.13 value for your guitar, we'd want to make sure we schedule that on the policy for you.
All right. So we need to do that with all my guitars. And
yes.
And I need to document it as well. Should I take photos? Should I take a video?
Absolutely. Photos and videos, perfect. So we've actually had clients that were able to prove items that were stolen or lost in a fire based on the photos or videos that they had taken.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to throw another curveball at you.
Okay.
I know you can handle this because
let's see.
It's Insurance Unlocked, baby. Okay, so let's say that I have 23 gold coins, 1 ounce gold coins. And I bought these several years ago when gold was $347 an ounce.
Okay.
I have pictures of, in fact, these are Krugerrands, if you remember those. And,
no.
South Africa. Sean, where are those from? South Africa? The gold Krugerrands? Yeah. Well, Sean's the producer, so.
I'm not in that tax bracket. Sorry.
He doesn't have any gold.
Neither am I, because I didn't know what they were.
So they were South African gold coins. They were like an ounce.
And they were called Kruger ants?
Not ants.
Oh.
Krugerrands. Krugerrands.
Oh, Kruger ants.
Everybody look that up. Krugerrands. So South African gold Krugerrand. This guy had like 25 of them.
Okay.
And that was back when gold was like $350 an ounce. But now gold is over $3,000 an ounce. But at the time when he took videos of them, this is what they were worth.
Yeah.
And so does that scheduled personal property endorsement cover only what gold was worth when he got them, or the current value of the gold, taking into account appreciation?
So that's a really good question. My guess on that, because I don't know for sure, is they would take into consideration what he bought them for.
Really?
I don't know that they would include inflation on that.
Is it inflation?
That's a good question.
Or
you know what?
appreciation?
Oh,
It's
appreciation, not inflation. You're right.
It's appreciation.
I will find out the answer for that. And next time I will share that answer.
She's going to find out, guys.
I'm going to find out because you did stump me slightly on that. Because I know what they would do for other items like jewelry.
Yeah.
You're going to get the appraised value for what you paid for it or what it's worth at the time you got the appraisal. So if you bought a ring 15 years ago for your wife,
right,
but you got it appraised in the last 2 years, you will get it insured for the appraised value from the last 2 years. So that would, if diamonds went up, yeah,
I don't think an appraiser is going to come out and appraise my gold coin.
No.
Because it's kind of, well, this is what it's worth. The market determines the value. That is a good one. Let's find out about that next time.
I'll find out because maybe they would take the appreciation into consideration with that. Because you're right, you wouldn't have an appraisal for that.
No.
That's a good question.
Thank you. That's why
I like
I'm here.
that question. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Oh, what are some items that are most commonly scheduled? Since we talked about some right now, what's some of the common items?
So the two big ones we get asked about constantly is jewelry and firearms, your guns.
Ooh.
We live in a big hunting area, so we get asked a lot about guns. Now, the interesting thing with guns is our policies will cover up to $5,000 total for the year.
Yeah.
That's built into the policy, but it only covers theft of the guns.
So if my house burns down and my guns are destroyed, that's not covered under the homeowner's policy. I would need to schedule that with a separate endorsement?
Well, no, I think, so the guns are only covered for theft.
Oh.
Regardless.
So even if they're destroyed by some,
you might get a small amount for them, but theft is the big question there on that one.
Okay, I got a question.
Yes.
So your house burns down, but the looters steal the guns, and now you don't have the guns to protect the gold with the weird South African name. You know,
the Kruger ants. I'm going to call
Kruger
it
ants.
that. It's the ants.
Kruger and not ants.
I'm so confused.
No, I talked to my company and I asked them. I said, so with guns, we can schedule them on the policy, and we need bill of sale on them. You can get them appraised. Usually, we need the bill of sale, right?
Right.
So you can get that value. They said only for theft. Only if they're stolen can you get that. Not if they burn up in a house fire.
Well, that's good to know.
Mm-hmm. So if you have guns,
Put them in a safe.
put them in a safe.
Fireproof safe.
If you have guns that are really high in value, I would add them to your policy because guns can get expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And normally we need serial number on them. Bill of sale is usually what we take. You can get them appraised, but usually it's the bill of sale we'll accept for the gun.
What about ammunition?
You don't want to be in a house fire with gun ammunition.
I know.
I don't think ammunition is covered. That's not listed in any of the policy stuff that I've read.
Plus, if they're
that
stolen,
would maybe fall under just your general personal property.
Okay, that's interesting.
Plus,
Yeah,
yeah, but let's hope it's not in the house fire.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good.
No,
That'd be an explosion.
That would be ungood.
Yeah. No.
Plus, if it's stolen and you're in the house and they're in the house and you have ammunition, well, probably we don't need to worry about that because the police will take care of
hopefully.
of the wounded person laying on the floor trying to steal your guns.
Exactly. Jewelry, though, is another big one. Rings are expensive. You buy a wedding ring, an engagement ring for your wife or significant other.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're going to be more than the $2,000 our policy covers.
Artwork?
Artwork, yep. We need the appraisals on those. Bill of sale. I've actually scheduled artwork for people before. They bought some nice stuff up in Zion at one of those. There's a dealer up there. He does beautiful work. And so we put those on their policy.
Oh, that's good. What about artwork done by my kids in 3rd grade and it's on my wall and it's priceless to me?
It's priceless to you.
It's priceless to
but
me.
no, that's not something, unfortunately, that would be covered.
Yeah, no, okay, well, that makes sense. Okay, was there anything
Take pictures of it so you can save the pictures.
That's a really good
So you have
idea.
pictures of the pictures. But no, so the jewelry I do want to talk about. On your policy, you have up to $2,000 of coverage for jewelry, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't cover it. Burn up in a house, that's fine. If it gets stolen, great. Doesn't cover something called mysterious disappearance. You would need to schedule your jewelry on the policy to get that. So mysterious disappearance would be your wife is doing the dishes. She sets her ring on the sink.
Yes.
Right? Walks away, gets distracted, comes back, the ring's gone. We don't know what happened to it, where it went. If you don't have it scheduled on the policy, they probably won't cover that.
Oh.
Because you can't really prove what happened to it. It like mysteriously vanished.
Yeah, I know that my wife had something similar happening to her. It was on the kitchen sink. It disappeared. I don't know where it went, but when she turned on the garbage disposal, there was a loud noise.
Oh, it probably went down there. Yeah. But no, I've dropped jewelry down my own like bathroom sinks before. Thank heavens it was like cheap stuff from wherever, but...
Well, then they got to call the plumber because
hopefully they can get it out for you.
So that goes back to the other endorsement, sewer backup. So now the ring backed up the sewer. All these things are interconnected.
All these things at once. You're going to have a massive claim.
Oh, my gosh. So we definitely need to call you because this is a disaster.
Now, with jewelry, we usually like to have an appraisal within the last 3 to 5 years.
Oh, okay.
Bill of sale will work too, but if you want to have, the right proof, an appraisal's the best.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Heather, this has been a joy and a delight today. Anything else you've got to share with us on these scheduled personal property endorsements?
No, that pretty much covers it, but I am going to look up what Kruger ants are.
Yes. Make sure you spell it correctly.
Kruger ants.
Kruger ants.
And the gold.
I'm going to look at Kruger ants myself.
And I'm going to find out the answer to your question about the gold.
All right, cool.
Because the more I'm thinking about it, I bet they do take the appreciation into consideration on that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's Kruger. I found Kruger hands. No. Freddy Kruger hands.
Freddy Krueger hands.
Is that what it is?
We're out of control today.
I mean, I would make sure those were insured.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Those look priceless.
Because my kid made them.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's great.
Heather, thanks for another exciting version of Insurance Unlocked today. If somebody wants to get a hold of you to ask you questions about personal property insurance or Kruger ants, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can call us at 435-251-9102. Our email is udyandassociates@amfam.com. That's udyandassociates@amfam.com. We also have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or like I mentioned on the last podcast, you can just come right into our office.
Sounds cool.
We're right behind the Wingers and Applebee's off River Road.
Love it. Heather, thank you very much.
Yes.
We'll see you guys next time with another Insurance Unlocked Comedy Hour.
Yeah, we should do one. That'd be great.
You guys take care. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of Insurance Unlocked, hosted by Heather Arias from Udy & Associates American Family Insurance in St. George, Utah. For more information or a free consultation, call 435-251-9102.